The era of the judges was bleeding to a close. Without a centralized leader, the tribes operated in total disarray, slipping into a deep moral decay. Looking at these excavated stone foundations and layered staircases, you can see the physical remnants of the decentralized settlements where early Israelite society operated. At the central temple of Shiloh, the corruption was systemic. The high priest Eli had grown old, complacent, and blind to his surroundings. Meanwhile, his two sons, acting as priests, actively extorted the worshippers, stealing the best meat from the sacrifices by force. The spiritual leadership had gone completely deaf. They left a fractured nation deeply vulnerable, operating without any unifying divine voice to guide them. In the middle of this societal decay, a woman named Hannah carried a private grief. She was barren, enduring constant, cruel mockery from her rival in a culture obsessed with fertility. She traveled to Shiloh and wept in silence, her lips moving without a sound. Eli, the high priest, watched her from his chair and assumed she was drunk, a stark reminder of how completely out of touch the religious elite had become. Desperate, Hannah made a radical vow. If God granted her a son, she would not keep him. She would surrender him entirely to serve at that very temple. She gave birth to a boy named Samuel and honored her vow. Years later, as the boy slept in the temple, a voice flickers into the light, bypassing the corrupt priesthood entirely to speak directly to a child in the dark. Samuel's immediate response, "Speak, for your servant is listening," sets a harsh baseline for true leadership, exposing the absolute deafness of the men in charge. Samuel's very first prophetic burden was severe. He had to deliver a message to Eli that the corruption of his sons was beyond repair, and his lineage was doomed. Soon after, Israel marched the Ark of the Covenant onto the battlefield, treating their most sacred relic like a magic talisman to secure a victory against the Philistines. The result was a total catastrophe. 30,000 soldiers died. The Philistines captured the Ark, and upon hearing the news, Eli fell backward from his chair and died. Religious artifacts offered zero protection when divorced from genuine obedience. With the old guard wiped out, Samuel stepped into the vacuum to rebuild the nation's faith from the ground up. Decades later, Samuel is an old man. His own sons, appointed to help him judge, begin taking bribes and perverting justice. Terrified of history repeating itself, the nation panics. The elders storm Samuel's home. They demand a human king to lead them into battle, desperate for the sleek military optics they see in the surrounding nations. This network map illustrates what they were actually asking for. They wanted to collapse their scattered tribal society into a single, massive, centralized monarchy. By demanding a visible crown they could control, they were actively pushing the unseen rule of God entirely to the margins. Heartbroken, Samuel takes the demand to God. He is told to listen to the people, offering a bleak lesson in the true cost of getting exactly what you ask for. Samuel anoints a man named Saul. Standing a head taller than anyone else in Israel, Saul perfectly matches the superficial, physical aesthetic the people craved. But Saul obsesses over public approval. He disobeys a direct divine military order by sparing an enemy king and taking the best livestock as spoils, then builds a stone monument to honor his own victory. Samuel confronts him with a crushing historical indictment. He tells the king that God takes no delight in burnt offerings if the leader refuses to listen. To obey is better than sacrifice. Samuel strips Saul of his divine mandate. Positional authority means absolutely nothing without submission to God's voice. Grieving, Samuel goes on a final, dangerous mission to Bethlehem to find a replacement among the sons of Jesse. When Jesse's oldest, tallest son steps forward, Samuel assumes this must be the chosen king. He nearly repeats the exact same aesthetic mistake the nation made with Saul. God rejects the older brothers. Instead, the choice falls on David, the youngest son, a forgotten shepherd boy out in the fields, chosen strictly by the hidden metric of his heart. It proved that the prerequisite for biblical power relies entirely on humility, completely ignoring the ancient world's reliance on height, armor, and military dread. Samuel bridged the massive gap between localized tribal judges and a centralized dynasty, but he added a vital caveat to the new structure. Looking at this scale visualization, we see his structural legacy, the office of the prophet, designed to ensure the executive power of the king was always counterbalanced by a strict moral authority. True power in Israel would not reside in a crown, a political title, or public applause. It would demand the enduring humility to stand in the dark and say, "Speak, your servant is listening."